Hi, this is Lisa, the herb prepper. My very first video that my friend Debbie has blackmailed me into doing. That's okay. I love you, Debbie. The first thing I'm going to talk about in this first video is a very, very common plant called plantain. Here is a picture of... Okay, so I'm going to make a shadow on there.
The camera adjusts.
Okay. Of it. I'm going to go outside and pick it for you in a minute here. But this, by the way, is one of my favorite herb books because it has pictures, photographs instead of drawings, so it makes it much easier to actually identify the plant and make sure you're doing it correctly. Correct identification is really important if you're going out and picking your own herbs that you didn't grow. You're just picking them wild. You need to make sure you got the right thing.
Who's the author?
This is the Eyewitness series book, so this is by Leslie Bremnes. But these Eyewitness books, there's a whole buttload of them on every subject. Now, anybody that's got kids should have a couple of these laying around, because there's Eyewitness books about animals and insects and all that stuff, because they always have pictures, they always have photographs, so they're really nice.
So we're going to learn about plantain today?
You're going to learn about plantain. Plantain's a really useful plant. Actually, I was reading about it in my other favorite herb book, this one, in the Herbology of North America, because I prefer using plants that grow in North America or have started growing here since Europeans came, just because I figure we know more about those and they're going to be easier to obtain. Should the SHTF situation ever occur, you want to be able to identify something that actually grows in this country, not something that grows in the mountains in Nepal, because that's not going to do you a damn bit of good. This is a classic herb book by a woman named Alma Hutchins. A great resource. It talks about Native American uses of herbs and also a lot of Russian clinical studies, because the Russians got deeply into alternative medicine. So it's very helpful, and it has a lot of information about plantain and some other things that it's been used for besides what I use it for. I mostly use it for topical things.
And what does that mean?
On your skin. I've used it for treating eyes. I've used it, it's very useful on animals that have eye issues. You know, they get those weepy eyes, or kittens that get that little icky stuff in their eyes. Dogs that have an eye infection. I've used it on my son when he had a sty in his eye. Anything like that. It's a very gentle herb. It's good for treating wounds and things like that. According to the book, it's also good for kidney and bladder trouble and ulcers. I'm using a tincture of it, which I'll explain in a later video how to make tinctures. Pretty easy. You just need vodka and the herb.
Ooh, vodka.
Vodka, you don't drink big quantities. This is, but I have not used it for that, so I can't personally attest to how well it works for that. It works great on, particularly on eye issues and skin problems. So, okay, let's go out and pick some plantain. Okay. This would be plantain. There's a couple varieties. This is very common. There's also another kind that looks similar, but the leaves are longer and thinner, and it'll have a taller stalk coming out here with little white things coming out of it. You're probably familiar with that too. They both work just fine.
Okay, and I had this all over my yard.
Yeah, it's everywhere out here. So when you pick it, you just want to look for nice green, healthy leaves. This pulls off pretty easy. If you want to, you can take a knife and cut a few leaves. You want to get, if you're just going to treat, like, maybe say some cat's eyes. We've got lots of cats around here. Just get a good handful of the leaves. You want to try to get ones that aren't particularly buggy. See, there's a cat right now holding up against me. She's pregnant, unfortunately. It has no effect as a birth control device.
If you could come up with that.
There are some herbs for abortion that we can discuss at a later time. That might open a can.
For cats.
That might open a can of worms. Well, there are herbs that you want to avoid if you're pregnant. Let's put it that way, because they can cause abortion.
Oh. Pregnant cat.
Herbs will work. I just generally use the leaves because I don't want to use the roots, destroy the plant. Although these are weeds, it's everywhere out here. If you look around, you can see it's all through this yard.
Hey, that's my grass. If I got rid of those, I wouldn't have any grass.
Well, that's true. It's pretty drought tolerant, which is why you see a lot of it right now. Hi, baby.
You can't eat this, can you?
It won't hurt you to eat it. It doesn't taste real good, but...
Oh.
So, give the herbs a wash. At home, I have a salad spinner, but I'm at Debbie's house today.
Yeah.
We're just going to rinse them with my hands really good. Now you will note that I picked these from Debbie's yard, which is pretty safe because I know Debbie doesn't spray her yard. You want to be careful when you're out picking herbs in the wild. Do not pick where they've been, where you don't know for sure if they've sprayed or not. You don't want toxins and crap on your herbs. This is a common herb that grows by roadsides. I don't tend to pick it unless it was an emergency. I wouldn't pick it right by the side of the road, especially a busy road, because I don't know how much of that car exhaust gets into the plant.
Right.
So I'd be a little cautious about that. So look for it a little further away from the road. You know, a few feet back is probably fine. Kind of dried edges like that, and they aren't going to hurt anything. All you really want to do, we're going to make what they call an infusion, which is basically tea.
Oh, all right.
Basically, that's what tea is. You get water, you drop the herb in.
This is an infusion?
An infusion. I-N-F-U-S-I-O-N.
Okay.
That's basically just using hot water to extract the medicinal properties. So I'm just getting this on the burner, boiling it up. That'll take a few minutes. So it's been boiling for a little while now. It's getting there. You see the water's changed color. It's got a nice green tint to it. You could let it go a little longer. And please notice I'm using a wooden spoon and an enameled pan. You really don't want to use metal, particularly aluminum, when you're working with herbs, because sometimes the metal will react with the herbs. So I don't use a metal spoon, I use a wooden spoon. And this pan is pretty much dedicated for making herbal concoctions. So this is actually an expensive pan that I got from the thrift store for $2. It's a Crusade enamel cast iron. Costs about $50 in the Williams-Sonoma store. I paid $3 for it.
Excellent.
I also have a graniteware pan at home that was real cheap from the dollar store, but graniteware is good too. You just want something that so the herbs don't come in contact with the metal.
All right.
So the liquid here is what you would use for treating an eye problem. The leaves would be a poultice that you want to put on a wound. For instance, my buddy Debbie here has a sore finger, and I might take some of this. Yeah, she's flipping us off, y'all. What a bitch.
Oh my Lord.
And you use the poultice, you know, for a wound, a sore, a bug bite. If you got a kid that's been like my son when he was 4, decided to go skinny dipping in a creek with his cousin, and had mosquito bites in places where you just don't want to scratch. So I made a huge infusion of this, and I cooked some oatmeal and poured the liquid from the oatmeal and the plantain liquid into a nice bath and made them soak in it. It took the itch right out of those mosquito bites and helped them dry out. So they call that oatmeal milk when you boil the oatmeal with the extra water and then pour the water into the bath, and then the plantain. There's the leaves coming out. Now if you were out in the woods or someplace where you didn't have access to a stove, a heat source, you had something itchy, nasty, a bug bite, even a wound,
you would use
you
the
could
leaves?
take the leaves and chew them up. Get them to a nice soft consistency and put them on that wound. In an emergency, that'll work. You just want to, the chewing and the saliva in your mouth will help digest and start to break them down a little bit, just like the hot water does. So it unleashes, I'm not sure the proper word for that. It extracts some of the medicinal properties that way.
So you mean if you're not able to cook them?
Yeah, I mean cooking them is the best way to do it. It's the most sanitary way.
Okay.
But if you're in an emergency, you know, and you're out in the woods, you've got no access to water, you've got no access to a fire, you know, that's something you could do in an emergency.
Oh, great.
So, okay. All right, so this is the infusion of plantain.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Sometimes it'll be greener. I left this stuff in there. Looks like there was a little bit of dirt.
Looks like Jack Daniels.
Doesn't taste like that, Daniels. You can take this internally. Like I said, I've never used it for any internal things. Now it's hot right now, but if I wanted to use this, this is a strip of cotton from an old sheet. Keep cotton, t-shirts, sheets, whatever. White cotton makes a wonderful Band-Aid. It's the softest thing. This is very soft, so it's a good thing. You don't want to use cotton balls if you're going around your eye or a cat's eye or something, because the fuzz will get in there. So the cotton doesn't have any fuzz. You would just dip it in there when it's cooled off. Obviously it's quite hot right now.
Okay.
And then just you know, wipe it on the affected eye. You know, and it's okay if a little bit gets in their eye. It's not going to hurt them. You know, I've done this to numerous kittens. It doesn't seem to bother them. Like I said, I used it on my son when he had a sty. It went away in 24 hours. So, it's a pretty useful little herb.
It sure is. That's good to know.
And free!
Yeah.
Best of all.
Best of all, free.
Doesn't cost you a damn dime.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Debbie's icky cut finger.
It hurt. I went down to the bone.
Oh, that looks nasty. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do two things to this. I'm going to use a little tidge of this lavender oil. Lavender's just good for everything.
It's going to hurt?
No. I mean, no more than touching it would.
I'm so brave. We know that.
Come on, you wuss. Okay. I soaked a little bit of the lavender oil in this. I'm going to take a little bit of this plantain. It's kind of an experiment, actually. We'll see if this works. Wrap it around there.
Well, I have faith in you.
And the lovely thing about cotton as a Band-Aid, this is what they used to do. Florence Nightingale and those guys used to roll up cotton. If you got a great-grandma, she probably did this in World War II for gauze.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I would keep as many rags, and white's good because that way you can tell if anything's bleeding or pussing up or anything. You know, it's a quick Band-Aid when you run out of the Band-Aids.
Feels pretty good.
You know, and you can wash that and reuse it. You can't wash this and reuse it.
That's right. Thank you,
Although I would
Lisa.
suggest bleaching it to kill